And then when you get really deep into it, you can create your own encounters and other things. For example, here is the suburbs factions map with a whole bunch of enemies spawned in it. So this is tasks.bin. The first thing we have to do is find the location of the checkpoint data, which is as easy as booting up the game, finding out which checkpoint name you need. You search for the checkpoint name in tasks.bin, and then you reverse search the pointer, which leads you to this. We're taken to the location of the string for the task, but right near it, perfectly divided into segments, is each checkpoint in the game, ready to be edited. After fiddling around with it for a while, I discovered that this blue here is the string pointer, the red is the order of the task, the orange loads a package from the game or what world it wants you to be in. The purple seems to always point to the right spawn data for that checkpoint. Green is also something to do with player and ally spawns, and red accounts for enemies and events. These last three ones can switch up and change what they are used for, but generally after testing across a lot of checkpoints, this is what I have found that they do. So, how do we swap a task? Well, if you see here, I've highlighted all the bytes that you have to copy and then paste to a different checkpoint you'd like to swap it with. Notice how we don't swap the bytes that I labeled in orange. That is the task order. If you change that, multiple tasks at once will activate and crash the game. It's a bit complicated on how it works. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm going to keep looking into it. So basically, once I figured this out, I went through the entire game and I swapped every single checkpoint that's before a cutscene, and I moved them up in the list, therefore abridging the game. And I figured out that after checking the whole game, these are the only tasks that I could get to play in sequence, and this is my longest string. So let's check it out. And so starting at Mill Escape Bakery Basement, I have abridged the game all the way down to Billstown. So here we go. Let's, without using debug at all, let's just follow the game, sped up a bit. Skip cutscene. We are now in Joel's apartment, so we just follow the stairs up to the door. And we activate the door, which activates the next cutscene. We skip the cutscene. The outskirts, right at the entrance to the crater area. So now we just move up to the truck and hit the trigger. Cutscene. The wasteland grate. So we wade our way through the water here. And we've now made it to the next cutscene trigger. The end of the capital. And all we gotta do now is just hit the cutscene trigger. Billstown. This one takes a little bit to load, but then once you go through here, the infected will start coming after you, and then we trigger the next checkpoint. The next cutscene is usually Bill's bar, but instead it is going to take us to our final destination. The runaway segment from right after the school. But unfortunately, this is where my streak of checkpoint abridging ends. You climb up the ladder and the game doesn't know what to do. But yeah, that's a whole heap of like areas all the way from Military City, all the way down from outskirts to Billstown to the middle of it anyway. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to try. Like, could I abridge the game's checkpoints? For example, you can't create a loop. I've tried creating a loop, but the events never trigger correctly because it has to be in a specific order. But yeah, and then when you get really deep into it, you can create your own encounters and other things. For example, down here, instead of the string loading the events, it loads maps instead. So it's loaded this factions map, and these fight ones up here load encounters. So by loading multiple checkpoints at once, I can create my own little encounters. For example, here is the suburbs factions map with a whole bunch of enemies spawned in it. And with the previous methods that I showed off earlier in the video, you could string chapters like this together. Bye, Joel. But yeah, that was changing The Last of Us's checkpoints. And I'm gonna keep fiddling with more The Last of Us stuff, and hopefully you keep watching. Thank you so much, and goodbye.